Back to Nugent Hopkins. McDavid.
This is Leon Draisaitl, and he just won Game 1 of the 2025 Stanley Cup Finals. Thanks to his third overtime goal of the playoffs, the Oilers have their first lead in the finals since 1990 when they won over Ray Bourque's Boston Bruins as their last cup of that dynasty in what was the most recent cup win in Oilers history. 2006, they lost to Carolina. Tough series, but it was kind of a miracle run. Hard to say they deserved the cup. 2024, they lost to Florida. Even tougher series. Went down 3-0 and then forced a Game 7 where they lost by 1 goal. It's even tougher when an Amazon Prime crew is following you around after the game. But 2025, something is just different. This franchise has seen so much success in their history, but I don't think they've had a pair of forwards that are this dominant ever. This Oilers team is up 1-0 in the Stanley Cup Finals for the first time in 35 years, and I think something might be different this year. But before we continue, I gotta talk to you real quick about this video sponsor, Kalshi. This is a platform that lets you trade contracts in the hockey world. If you're not a finance major, it's basically making predictions that cost, say, 18 cents, and if that prediction comes true, then you get $1. A major plus for Kalshi is that it's available in all 50 states, but the reason why I decided to team up with them is that these guys aren't a sports book. They're a financial exchange, like the stock market. The reason that's so significant is that you're not playing against a house that's set up against you with calculated odds. You're playing against other people. A really cool part about Kalshi is that it moves and adjusts in real time. A big momentum shift of the game or maybe a big goal, it can change the real-time odds. There aren't any locked positions and you can trade whenever you want. These guys obviously sponsor the video, so there's natural bias here, but I really think if you're interested in putting money on a game or a series, Kalshi is the most natural way to do it. There's no ridiculous parlays that could theoretically 100x your money if Matthews scores 7 goals. It's just who's winning or who's not winning. You can use my link in the description or just head to kalshi.com and use code BIGHEAD. When you trade your first $100, they'll throw in $20 for free. Okay, back to the video. I don't think it's possible to talk about this game without talking about Leon Draisaitl and how good he's been for Edmonton. We all know his history in the playoffs. He set the single series assist record back in 2022 in just 5 games while playing on a broken ankle. God, I still get a quarter chub thinking about that. But in the finals last year, he was more beat up than he's ever been in a playoff series. 0 goals, 3 assists, -3 in a 7-game series. He wasn't really that much of a factor in the cup final, and when it came down to a Game 7 and they lost by just 1 goal, you really wish that Leon Draisaitl would have been a bit more of a factor. It's easy to feel like a healthier Draisaitl could have been the difference maker, but what are you going to do? It's not like you can just rematch next year with a healthy Leon Draisaitl. Oh, wait. He had 2 goals in Game 1, including the overtime winner. I think you'll see everyone talk about how good he was offensively, so if I can offer something new to the table, it's a rehashed topic from this playoffs. I still can't get over how good Leon Draisaitl is defensively. He's a shark in the defensive end, stalking his prey. His quick pivots help him cover a couple options at once, and his length extends his radius more than you'd think. Florida opted for safer plays throughout the night because of Draisaitl's reach in the defensive end. He's this imposing force. He's shadowing the Panthers, and his stick is so quick that you never really have as much time as you think. Out of the scrum, somehow he's able to cover 40 feet of ice, stripping the ultra-conservative Lundell and preventing the 6'6" Mikkola from even getting the chance to dump it in. Mind you, Draisaitl's line was the matchup line for Edmonton. On home ice against the Barkov-Reinhart line, Chris Knoblauch trusted Draisaitl, Kane, and Brown to shut down Florida's top line. But then you look at Draisaitl's transition game, and again, he's just elite. He's always the first one back to support a defender, and he effortlessly gets it out of the zone. Elite. Add in the fact he picked up his 3rd overtime goal of the playoffs in Game 1, and yeah, I'm not sure if you pick McDavid for Conn Smythe right now. I'm picking Draisaitl. Harder matchups, 1 fewer point, worse line mates, leading all forwards in takeaways. Yo, I'm taking Draisaitl all day, baby. But Edmonton arguably looked better than they should have after Florida's top defensive pair, Forsling and Ekblad, had a bit of a stinker night. Forsling especially, he's developed the reputation of being one of the best defensive defensemen in hockey, and yet he finished dead last on the Panthers in 5v5 expected goals percentage. And while the first goal was on Tkachuk missing his man, Forsling missed the adjustment and it left Draisaitl alone in front. Again, we're talking about the best defensive defenseman in hockey who's in that conversation. Forsling made the wrong split decision after a defensive breakdown. That could happen to anyone, but it cost the Panthers an early goal. That is pretty early though, about a minute into the game. You'll find other moments throughout the night though where Forsling just did not seem like he had his usual composure. The fourth line for Edmonton just kept getting looks on Forsling. They kind of gamed the Florida aggressive neutral zone forecheck by bringing it back and slingshotting it forward. They beat Mr. Gustav with speed, with size, and with tactics, which for the best defensive defenseman in hockey is just a really tough look. To close out regulation, Florida put the Mikula-Jones pair out there for 3 short shifts in a row, and then they started that same pair in overtime. They became the de facto number 1 pair for the night. Oh man, you guys know how much I love the Seth Jones addition for Florida, but the guy who surprised me the most last night was Nate Schmidt. He had himself an insane game. He led everyone on either team in game score, despite having some pretty favorable matchups. This Bodank third pair of Kulikov and Schmidt sounds like some Puckpedia custom roster where they ran out of money and needed to fill the team with warm bodies, but like holy smokes, they have somehow become so good in this playoffs. Schmidt exploded early on in the playoffs, picking up a couple goals against Tampa. At one point leading the East in goals, which is pretty stupid. Like it's Nate Schmidt. It's literally Nate Schmidt. It's Nate Schmidt. To me, Nate Schmidt is a physical manifestation of this Florida Panthers squad and the concept of the whole being larger than the sum of its parts. Having such a supportive locker room, superstars who always show up in the playoffs, and this larger-than-life culture of winning over everything means a guy like Schmidt will sign with the team knowing his role and fitting into his position. That's why Florida is getting these OEL, Schmidt, Bachvist pickups. They're looking for a guy who can fill a specific role. They're not always going to hit, but they're so cheap that if Adam Bachvist doesn't work out, well, maybe Nate Schmidt will. Might have had one of the best games of his playoffs in a run where he's been unbelievable for the Panthers. At 5v5, he's the number 1 defenseman in zone exit percentage, and while he isn't necessarily a speedster, in the right minutes on the bottom pair, he can fill in effectively as a high-energy two-way left defenseman. Okay, enough about Nate Schmidt, because a guy who's going to be picking up some serious bread this summer, Sam Bennett, is in the news again. I think the NHL overall is looking to crack down on coaches' challenge calls in the playoffs to deter coaches from using them going forward. Maybe they thought that they were used too liberally in the past, but they're 0 for 4 in the playoffs so far this year. Bennett accidentally being in a position where he got tripped, and damn it, he fell right into Skinner. It was right when Verhaeghe was shooting too. Damn, you just hate to see a guy get tripped up like that. Okay, I'm not sure. In the regular season, I think it gets called back, but Cup finals, they're letting the physicality ride a bit. Personally, I'm shocked that Bennett was involved in a controversial topic surrounding using his body. That's not the Sam I know, because the Sam I know is leading the playoffs in goals. He's going to get a payday, but definitely buyer beware, because while he's excellent at finishing up close, I don't see him as a first-line guy. He's a closer, like a body guy. He shows up more in the playoffs. Still, his line got shelled by Kasperi Kapanen. I mean, Kapanen had an unreal night, sure, but Kapanen? If you need to win some board battles, Sam Bennett is your guy. If you need to break the puck out of your own zone, Sam Bennett is not your guy. If you have someone else who can break it out of your zone and he needs someone to pass to on the rush, then Sam Bennett is your guy. If you want everyone to love your hockey team, Sam Bennett is not your guy. If you want to win the cup, well, I actually think Leon Draisaitl would be your guy in that case. We're seeing a healthy version of Leon Draisaitl for the first time in the Cup Finals, and it's magnificent. Hear me out. Draisaitl did to Barkov in Game 1 what Barkov did to Matthews in Game 7 of the second round. Barkov had a great game around the edges, but his line just couldn't produce, and it got outworked. It felt like the Barkov line had a good game, just couldn't do. That's scary for Florida going forward, and I put a lot of that on Draisaitl. A goal in the first minute of the series, defensive dominance, post-game on the ice interviews, and another goal to win it in overtime. If he keeps this up and Edmonton ultimately wins the whole thing, I don't think there's a better choice for the Conn Smythe Trophy than Leon Draisaitl. Subscribe for more content. Thank you so much for watching.